Hello, everybody. Lisa Stevaniak here from lifelikeyoumeanit.com, coming to you live with our Monday motivation. Happy New Year! This is our first Monday motivation of 2021. Woohoo! Very exciting. And I'm sure you've been seeing everywhere about New Year's resolutions. And so I thought, well, I'm going to talk about New Year's resolutions as well because we all know what it's like to set a whole bunch of New Year's resolutions and then a week or two into January, not only do we forget about them, we actually forget what they even were, right? We are just not necessarily the best at keeping our goals in check. I've done lots of different videos before about lots of different reasons for this, right? And the main things that I focused on in those videos were about how we tend to go for gusto. We tend to go for too much change all at once. And so my advice in those videos was to break it down into smaller chunks, make sure that you're doing things very reasonably, like if you're going to start a new exercise regime, that you're not going to choose 4 o'clock in the morning to do it. If you don't have time in your day as your day stands now, then you've got to actually look at your schedule and see where you can make changes so that you can fit it in realistically in times that you're actually going to be awake and have the energy to do it. But today I want to talk much, much deeper than that, because that's all kind of standard advice that is good, which is why it's out there, right? It's relevant. But I want to talk to you about how when we make these New Year's resolutions, to get more fit or to become, I don't know, more grounded or more centered of a person or become more abundant or, things like that, what we're really talking about is our habits, right? Even in my other videos talking about making sure you're realistic with where you're going to put things in, it's about changing your habits in your day to day. But I'm really talking about changing your habits about yourself. You can't expect to do the same thing and get a different result, right? We all know that that's the definition of insanity. So we are needing to really be honest with ourselves when it comes to making a whole new plan for this year, whole new set of resolutions, a whole new set of goals. And we need to really be honest about where we're at with our awareness for ourselves, for what we think, what our judgments are that we place on ourselves and others, how we are reacting to different things and why, and really start to become aware about ourselves, about our own interactions with self and what we think about ourselves. Because if we don't, then that is the habit that we already have, right? The way that we speak to ourselves, the way that we think about ourselves and our businesses, right? And everything that's going on around us, all of those types of things are habits that we formed from many, many, many years earlier that maybe were relevant to something that we were going through then, and then they just became habit, right? And if we don't change those habits, for example, you think poorly about yourself, you think that you can't do it, and then you set a new goal for yourself to suddenly start a new diet regime or a new exercise regime or a new way of being positive, right? You want to work on your mindset this year or your mental health or something along those lines. And those are all amazing and wonderful things, but it doesn't matter how many goals you set and how much chunking down you do of these things if your relationship with yourself and the way that you speak to yourself and about yourself doesn't change, if that awareness level about what you're doing doesn't change, then you are doing the same thing. You might be doing, something slightly different, as in writing a journal or, adding these different things in your life that you've heard about. But if you're not changing the core and looking deeper, looking at your own awareness and making habitual changes there, then everything else is for naught. You're expending a lot of energy into things that are probably very worthy causes for yourself, but you're going to let yourself down because you're not doing the deep intrinsic work that needs to happen here first. So, my big piece of advice for you is, no matter what your New Year's resolution is, no matter what your goals are for 2021 for yourself personally or for your business, the first thing that you need to do is to start to go within, to start to raise your awareness about yourself, how you feel about yourself, what you think about yourself, how you speak to yourself and about yourself. And you can start by answering the age old question of who am I? And I'll talk about this next week. Who am I is nothing to do with your name or your titles or anything about what you do with work, your family, your friends, nothing. Right? Eliminate all of them. It's not even about your height or your weight or anything like that, because there was a time when you didn't weigh this amount. There's a time when you weren't this tall, or you were still you, even though you were smaller. You were a baby, perhaps, right? So think deep. Who are you? And that will help you to start to raise your awareness so that there is no resolution or no goal that you could ever set for yourself that you will ever not meet. I hope this was helpful. Bless. Have an amazing day, and I will see you next week. Bye.